Millions of American renters are at risk of losing their homes after the Supreme Court struck down the Biden administration's eviction moratorium last week. According to researchers at Goldman Sachs, between 2.5 and 3.5 million households are behind on rent. Around 750,000 of those will lose eviction protection in just a few months and could lose their homes by the end of this year. A number of states and the District of Columbia have their own protections in place, but most are set to end sometime this year. District of Columbia Attorney General Karl Racine joins me now with more. Mr. Attorney General, welcome. What is your reaction to the Supreme Court rejecting President Biden's latest eviction moratorium?
Great to be with you, Elaine. Of course, we're very disappointed at the Supreme Court's decision to not continue with the moratorium. I led a brief with 23 other state attorney generals supporting the CDC's ability to continue with its moratorium. The real consequences now are dire, and that is that, as you reported, experts know that people will be now, unfortunately, out of their homes and onto the street. Here in the District of Columbia, fortunately, we've been able to really ramp up our efforts to participate in a federal DC program that allows DC residents who have financial hardship to stay in their homes. We can talk more about that if you like.
Yeah, well, as we mentioned, D.C. did had its own eviction protections in place before the Supreme Court's decision last week. So what specifically are those protections?
Sure. So DC's moratorium itself goes on until the end of October. Nonetheless, after that, folks are going to be in real duress. We took advantage of a federal program, and I would urge all folks who are living in other states to identify grant programs, including federal matching programs that may be available to you. I can tell you that now, because of the help of my colleagues, 70% of the $143 million that was available for tenants and landlords is now going to them, and therefore tenants will not have to be evicted from their homes. So take a look at the grant and federal grant programs that may be available to you in your jurisdictions if you're at risk of eviction.
So can you talk about that a bit more? I mean, how is D.C. also working to make sure that landlords are also protected from lost income?
It's a really good point, Elaine. Look, landlords themselves are also suffering. Certainly, they're suffering because many of their tenants have not had the financial wherewithal to pay for those programs. The Stay DC program allows for tenants to apply for financial relief and permits landlords to also help apply for their tenants. This way, both parties will have more leeway to get through this pandemic, which, as your prior reporting correctly noted, is still raging and indeed increasing in our country. What we want to avoid is a situation where hordes of people are going to homeless shelters. That's not medically right. That's going to cause problems with COVID-19, and instead keep people in their homes.
Well, while D.C. has given protections for tenants, many states have not. How might the ending of federal protections impact the district?
Well, I think the District of Columbia is going to be okay because of this Stay DC program. And I know that the council and the mayor of the District of Columbia are still focused on trying to do what we can to help our vulnerable residents. I do worry about residents nonetheless, and I've got to tell you that the brunt of eviction falls on kids. During the last economic duress, the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, the average age of a tenant who was evicted was 9 years old. That's because we're talking about a parent, usually, and multiple kids. So please understand that the people at risk are kids, and we can do better as a country. We need to support our children, our tenants, and our landlords.
Millions of Americans still very much in need. Attorney General for the District of Columbia, Karl Racine. Mr. Attorney General, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Elaine.